Okay. Um, Hello, Dr. Murray. It's nice to meet you.
Likewise,
Thank you for coming and speaking at our conference.
it was fun. It was great.
Great. And Jane, thank you also for coming to speak with us. It is nice to meet you as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I just realized I was with a rock star, a superstar, Dr. Murray.
Yes. So I'm excited to speak with both of you. It's actually very hard to get a lot of information. I guess we could read your books cover to cover, and that would be a good start. But somehow, it's not as easy for a lot of us to get really great quality information. And for us to be able to speak to two people who have spent a very, very long time deeply immersed in the literature and the real world coming about supplements and natural healing and herbs, I consider this, a fantastic opportunity. I'm very excited. And I appreciate you both being available to share information that a lot of people don't offer. As a matter of fact, it's really hard to get this information. Our doctors don't really share it. And a lot of the people who give us supplement information are already selling it, and we're not sure if they have a bias. So we really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us tonight.
Very good.
Okay. So maybe you could each just take 1 minute just to tell us what you've been doing the last 15, 20 years to get us up to speed on both of you. Dr. Murray, you first, and then
Well, yeah, I've been at this a lot longer than 15 or 20 years. I really got interested in health when I was 19. I'm 65 right now, and I've been really blessed. Naturopathic medicine has just been a love of my life, and I've written over 30 books on health and nutrition, including the textbook of natural medicine and also the Encyclopedia of Natural Medicine. I've also been instrumental in bringing many safe and effective products to North America through some of my commercial efforts, and these include all sorts of standardized botanical extracts. I was the real pioneer in bringing standardized herbal medicines like ginkgo and St. John's wort, saw palmetto, milk thistle extract, as well as natural products like glucosamine sulfate, DGL, and enteric-coated peppermint oil, quercetin, curcumin, PGX, Pharmagaba. And I really believe in the power of nature and have been an advocate on helping people achieve better health by taking personal responsibility for their choices in life and trying to inspire them to have a positive mental attitude, a health promoting diet, live right, get all the sleep they need, and exercise, and then of course support their body properly with other measures such as dietary supplements and body care and massage and chiropractic care and all those wonderful things that can help us achieve wellness.
thank you. Jane?
Yeah, I could really echo almost everything there, except for I'm 62 instead of 65. But yeah, I feel the same as far as, the body being supported with the power of Mother Nature and natural remedies has been a part of my life since I was a child. Many people that maybe come in contact with me, or maybe if you're hearing me for the first time, I grew up with a dad who was a botanist. And so we were always identifying plants. We had stuff growing all over the yard. We had stuff growing in pots in the house. And we didn't get to partake of fast food and junk food. And besides that, there were 14 kids in my family. So there was you don't go do things out. But what was interesting as adults, most of us kind of fell into the trap of fast food, junk food, because we didn't get any of that as kids. And so we just kind of thought, we need to leave that hippie stuff behind. But then all of us, every one of us, my youngest sibling is now 40. So all of us have come back to natural medicine pretty early in the journey of being an adult. But I have this deep passion for watching people heal when they don't think they can heal without intervention from medical. I mean, it's just such a beautiful thing. I wake up every day and I can't wait. It's interesting. I kind of have this mantra that I don't ever want to retire. I want to keep doing what I do as long as I possibly can. And, I want to die really old and really healthy.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so the first question, which is unbelievably hard to answer if you're not in the herbal or the nutritional world, is you're living in society among regular people and you have a health ailment. And everyone you know tells you emphatically to get medical health and follow mainstream medical protocols. And intuitively, sometimes we say, I'm not sure, I'm kind of like to avoid side effects and I want to be do things natural, but we're not confident enough. We don't want to goof around and we don't want to make a mistake of not taking appropriate action. But on the other hand, we're also a little concerned that an antibiotic has an impact on our gut. So how do we know in what cases to approach things naturally, holistically, herbally, supplements, lifestyle, and how do we know when we need to seek a mainstream medical doctor's and follow his protocol or her protocol?
Well, I think conventional medicine is very good when heroic measures are necessary. You take a gunshot to the chest, you get in an automobile wreck, you have some sort of traumatic injury or some sort of acute, serious situation arise. I think conventional medicine is necessary in those applications, but in the treatment of most common ailments, conventional medicine has failed us. The idea that we can suppress symptoms alone is really, kind of a fool's path. If we look at most common illnesses and the way they're treated, I think in the near future, it's going to be looked at as kind of the dark ages of pharmacy, because if you look at the way in which most medications work, they're not building health. They're designed to address a symptom and not really get at the root cause. And in the process, they disrupt the body's own healing processes and many times create more problems than not. This is especially true for chronic conditions. I wrote a whole book, What the Drug Companies Won't Tell You and Your Doctor Doesn't Know, and I highlighted the problems with conventional medicine. Even something as simple as acetaminophen or Tylenol. We have 50 million people on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, taking acetaminophen or Tylenol. And this is a drug that I think should be banned because it has no real therapeutic effect. It has some analgesic activity and it's an antipyretic to lower fever. But this simple drug, it depletes our cells of an important antioxidant, glutathione. And if you look at some of the problems that are being attributed to something as simple as acetaminophen, it's chronic use leads to all sorts of problems, liver problems, and you couple that with drinking alcohol, it can be a cause of death. If we look at any major class of drug, whether we're talking about blood pressure medications or talking about antidepressants or sleeping pills, drugs for acid reflux, even drugs for arthritis, they end up causing more problems than helping people. And that's because they don't address the underlying issues and they have side effects. And I just think the natural approach is the way to go. Prevention is worth a pound a cure. And even if you have a condition, when you address the underlying pathophysiology or disease process through diet, lifestyle, attitude, and the proper use of supplements and other natural products, I think you're going to come out further ahead in your health, and you're going to live longer and have a higher quality of life.
Thank you. Jane, did you want to answer that also?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that, trauma care is where we shine in modern medicine. If you break a bone, you shouldn't try to put a herb on it to fix it. You need to go get it set. Also with really acute infections, you can always rebuild your gut microbiome if you need to go on a prescription antibiotic or something like that. But I think that as far as having other people maybe put pressure on you when you want to take care of something naturally, what I like to really encourage people to do is to start using herbal medicine, start getting really familiar with different supplements and different herbal tinctures, and kind of start building their herbal apothecary so that they, when an issue like a fever or a headache, or they get a skin wound that they can handle at home, they start using these things and can gain confidence. So if someone tries to scare you into, the last 3 years have been really fascinating for me because, everybody I knew got this latest virus that has been going around, and I have a whole herbal arsenal for that. And I never felt nervous. And it's because this is the way that I take care of myself and my family. So I think that starting to use things will give you the confidence that when someone tries to scare you, then you have the confidence to say, no, I've got this one. But then you also have to mix it with the common sense of saying, I better go have this looked at, or I better, you really have to blend the two and use your common sense. I think that's what it boils down to.
So let's talk about antibiotics. You have a strep throat, or you don't know if you have a strep throat, or you have something that normally some would say, you know what, you better take an antibiotic. Do you, Jane Barlow-Christensen, go to the doctor and take an antibiotic, or do you have a different approach that you feel works as well without affecting your gut microbiome? Do you have a different approach?
Yeah, 100%. And I have lots of experience with this, not just with myself and my family, but over the years, different friends who have come to me. And I have actually a really good friend who owns a restaurant in Salt Lake City where I live. And he owns it's like a vegan vegetarian. I mean, he's been my friend for like 25 years because that's one of my favorite places. Well, he got really sick with strep throat last fall. And he suffered with it for a little while because he likes to do things as natural as possible. And he tried a bunch of things, and then he called me. And what I actually got him on, and Dr. Murray and I were talking about this before we came live, is there's a plant called lomatium, which I've seen work really well for strep. And from my experience, lomatium doesn't appear to have any organ toxicity. So you can increase the dose when you have a really acute infection. And I've used that on myself for like UTIs, different viral infections, or just different infections. I will literally take a dose every hour of like a concentrated tincture. And this is what I had my friend do for strep. And he could start to swallow within a couple of hours. And then it took him about 2 days to really feel like he was pretty much 90%. So, that's one of my favorites is lomatium. But I also love other antivirals like OSHA, oil of oregano. But, to me, this is where the education piece comes in, where people have to be willing to start looking for things before they get sick so that they can have it in their arsenal.
Can you spell lomatium?
Yeah, lomatium is spelled LOMATIUM. Lomatium.
And can you spell OSHA?
Yeah, OSHA. OSHA.
Aside from lomatium, OSHA, and oil of oregano, are there other things that you consider in the same category?
Well, there's a herb that comes from Africa called cryptolepis. I love that one. I think it's got some similar properties to Lomatium and Osha, but a little bit different. I love echinacea. I mean, there's actually a pretty big list of plants that have antiviral properties, but I would say those are the powerhouses that I turn to and love.
And in cases when someone has, from your experience of actual real world use, people who've had a need for to deal with an issue, an infection of some type, where you've given them Lomatium, how many times do you think it's worked? How many times has it not worked? And the person said, this didn't work, I need something stronger. What, I wouldn't want anyone to feel overly confident and then find out that, of course, they had a bad problem because they didn't immediately go to a mainstream antibiotic. So I'm interested in knowing, in the real world, how many times you've used it and how successful it's been, and what the real track record is of Lomatium with people that really had infections.
Well, just for my own personal excuse, because I'm not a practitioner, I don't see patients, or so it's really within my family base and my friendship base, which my family base is quite large. I'm one of 14 kids, so that's a big base, and they all have kids and grandkids. My brain, when you're asking me that question, my brain I can't think of a time when it hasn't worked for me. I honestly can't think of a time. I'm sure there are people who've used it maybe when you get to a certain point where the infection has gotten a little more deep-seated, when you need to go, if there's a high fever. If I could be stranded on a desert island or go through life with only one herb, it would be Lomatium. And I know that's a big, bold statement, but I've never had it not work for me to the point where I don't need to go get a prescription antibiotic. Not with anyone in my family, my kids, my grandkids. So
is it as strong as an antibiotic?
I don't even really think it's an antibiotic, because it doesn't appear to destroy any beneficial bacteria. So I would say, yeah. In fact, I think it's better, because then you maintain all your gut flora, and I would say 100%, and I think it's better.
And a real antibiotic, you're supposed to stop after a week or 10 days. How long could you take Lomatium before you feel it's too much?
Well, ever since I was a young adult, I've always taken a daily dose of it for prevention during cold and flu season, typically, or if I ever travel, if I ever get on an airplane, I will take a preventative dose, either a tincture or capsule form. And I have really come to believe that your body doesn't build an immunity to it. So I think you could take it as a prevention for as long as you would need to. So yeah, if someone has, I did get COVID, and I was down for a couple of weeks on that one, and I just took it every day, and then I continued to take it for another couple of months afterward, just because I was just getting myself back on track, and it was a pretty hardcore experience.
Okay, thank you. And what would each of you say to someone that says, I feel depressed and I've been advised to go on an antidepressant? Does the natural world have an answer for depression as opposed to taking antidepressants? And let's expand that to also include antipsychotics. So the antidepressants and antipsychotics, is there an alternative that you're aware of in the natural world?
Dr. Murray.
Well, I'm not a big fan of conventional antidepressants. If we look at the brain and how critical it is to give it the tools it needs to be healthy, it doesn't make any sense that we would even try to treat depression with any single agent, natural or prescription. That said, there's some fundamental building blocks for brain health that we just can't ignore. A deficiency of any single nutrient can lead to altered brain function, particularly things like the omega-3 fatty acids. And there have been great studies, large double-blind placebo-controlled studies in all sorts of mental health issues, showing that doses of omega-3 fatty acids, fish oils, can be very helpful in improving these conditions. And often we don't use them as first-line therapy, but they did a study in college-age females, and it was really provocative because suicide ideations are very common in the first few years of college. And in this study, they took women that were very depressed, suicidal, but had not been on any conventional medication. And in the double-blind study, every one of those women that were taking the fish oils within 2 weeks had complete resolution of their suicidal ideations and depression. And I just think that it's just a better approach. There's a lot of natural antidepressants, but they've done studies as well, just cleaning up the diet, getting people off of sugar, and getting them a more nutritious diet can lead them to feeling better. And it's not if we look at a classic antidepressant drug, they generally take 2 weeks to show an effect. They've done studies in adolescents where they've had them eat a serving of blueberries, and the blueberries provided immediate benefit. In terms of herbs that have antidepressant activity, St. John's wort extract was shown in numerous studies to be more effective than Prozac and Zoloft and other antidepressant drugs. More recently, we have saffron. Saffron extract has shown very good antidepressant activities. And there's a whole shift in the notion of what causes depression or what leads to depression. And there's a focus now on using anti-inflammatory herbs, things like curcumin, and curcumin has shown very good effects in improving mood. But when I look at, the last few years I was in practice, I was seeing mainly people for depression because I'd gotten really good at helping these people. I'd written books and natural alternatives to Prozac. I wrote a book on 5-HTP, and people would come and they would expect me to give them a magic natural product to relieve their depression, which I did. But I also found that for most people, what I think really helped them was getting them engaged in life. And what happens when people are depressed, they lose the affinity for enjoying life and engaging in activities that help them feel good about living. So some of my simple prescriptions, in addition to natural products, would be to find out a little bit about what makes them happy and what makes them tick. It'd be interesting. I remember this one time I asked this guy what he really enjoyed in life, and I'd never had anybody that was depressed respond like he did. He started rattling off, because I like to go for walks, I like to bowl, I like to go to movies, I like to have nice dinners, and he just starts rattling off, just going down a long list, and I'm thinking, wow, no patient's ever gone on like this. So I said, well, how long have when's the last time you've done any of those? And he said, it's been months. And I say, well, how long have you been depressed? And he says, it's been months. And I said, do you think there might be any correlation? And, we think so often that people lose the enjoyment of things that they used to enjoy, but a lot of times it's just they just stop doing them. So anyway, there's a lot of things we can do to help people with depression. I like to start with the foundations and making sure everybody has the building blocks for health: positive mental attitude, health promoting diet, and health promoting lifestyle. One of the quickest ways to boost mood is helping people improve their sleep. Poor sleep quality leads to poor energy, depressed mood. So I spend a lot of time working with patients and helping them get a better night's sleep. And it's amazing how much better the world looks, how much brighter their mood is after a good night's sleep.
Okay. What about for people that are taking cholesterol lowering medicine, statin drugs? When they come to you and they say, I was told to take statin drugs, I'm not going to change my diet, I'm not going to exercise, so my doctor said I should take statin lowering drugs. Would you say great? Would you say don't do anything? Would you say take red yeast rice or some alternative? What would you say to that person?
Dr. Murray,
Well, I don't see any difference between red yeast rice and a low dose statin. There's really not much different. And that's one area where people they're kind of scared into taking something, and if they're taking a statin, one thing that can be done to kind of reduce the risk for some of the side effects is making sure they're getting enough coenzyme Q10. 200 to 300 milligrams per day of CoQ10 can help reduce the risk of some of the side effects of statin drugs. I just don't think there's a need for statin drugs for most people. There's a lot of times in medicine we fall victim to conventional wisdom, and conventional wisdom is sometimes based on convenience and not based upon facts. There's no question that statins have been shown to improve cardiovascular mortality and cardiovascular events in men. It's less proven and it's debatable whether it has that effect in women. We also are treating way too many people with statins. The people that benefit from statins are probably 20% of the people that are taking statins. So this is an overprescribed medicine, and it's largely due to the marketing efforts of this is a big business, a multi-billion-dollar drug category. There's so many things that can be done. Head-to-head comparison studies have shown, for example, a number of compounds can help lower cholesterol. There's the portfolio diet where they've had people follow diets full of all sorts of different cholesterol lowering agents, and that works just as well as a statin for most people. Berberine, which is a compound from golden seal and barberry, has been the subject of over 27 double-blind placebo-controlled studies. In these studies, it's been shown to lower cholesterol levels as efficiently as statins. It also lowers triglyceride levels and has been shown to lower glucose levels as well as metformin in patients that have type 2 diabetes. And it also helps people lose weight and lower blood pressure. If berberine was a drug, it would be the biggest selling drug in the history of the world because it affects all of these areas. Yeah, there's a lot of alternatives out there that could be used. But the bottom line is that it's still debatable whether statins offer any significant benefit to women. And in men, 80% of the statin prescriptions are providing absolutely no benefit. So they would be better off going a natural route and really making a bigger impact on their health.
So is there anyone you recommend goes on a statin?
I think statins are really helpful in people that have a hereditary predisposition to early death due to cardiovascular disease. If people have excessive cholesterol levels, total cholesterol levels over 300, if they're LDL levels are over 150. But this idea now that we should have anyone taking a statin if their LDL levels are above 100 is absolutely ridiculous. It's just they're not going to provide any benefit in extending life. In the studies with statins, the benefits, the numbers needed to treat are huge to see any significant benefits, and you're much more likely to, for most people that are taking statins, you're much more likely to die of something else than die of a heart attack anyway. So I think there's better things to be focused on in extending life and improving cardiovascular health.
Thank you. What do you tell people that are dealing with constipation? What's the best approach?
Well, constipation is it's hard to imagine that it's such a problem. It is a real problem for a lot of people. There's so many just basic things, making sure you're well hydrated, making sure you're eating enough dietary fiber. A lot of times people hear dietary fiber and think, oh, I need to eat more whole wheat bread or eat bran muffins, or eat cereal. No, fiber is a plant material that we don't digest. And so all plant foods have fiber, and some of the best fibers in helping people with constipation are the gel forming mucilaginous fibers that we get in fruit and in vegetables and also legumes. So, eating a high fiber diet is important. Having one or two prunes a day can be very helpful. Same thing, figs, dates have also been shown to have good laxative effects. Just some basic things like that go a long way. One of the problems is that people need a little bowel retraining if they've been on laxatives, particularly stimulant laxatives. More fiber is always a good place to begin with constipation. The biggest cause of constipation in children is milk. So getting them off milk is often curative of their constipation.
And what about herbs? What approach would you take with herbs or supplements?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that Dr. Murray just said. And hydration is such a key. And I also think exercise, I think getting the body moving on a regular basis is really, really important. Some of my favorite herbs, and this is where I think you have to be really careful, because you can get your body addicted to herbs that can help with constipation just as much as you can get used to a laxative, like a prescription or an over-the-counter. But things like Cape aloe and Cascara sagrada, I really love. Psyllium husk, and then bentonite clay. You can get some of these colon cleanses that can actually help you with that. But you need to be careful, because you don't want to get yourself used to taking these supplements so that you lose the function of what your colon does. But yeah, lifestyle, food, hydration, and all of those foods that Dr. Murray suggested, I could have said exactly the same thing.
Okay, and what do you recommend for someone that says, I'm concerned my memory's not as good as it used to be. I'm concerned about Alzheimer's. I'm just concerned about my brain health in general. Are there supplements or herbs that are appropriate to help in this area?
Yeah.
Well, before herbs, I want to jump back to talking about some basics. If Alzheimer's disease is referred to as type 3 diabetes. It's closely linked to the same dietary factors that are associated with type 2 diabetes. Poor cardiovascular function, lack of exercise, not getting enough sleep, a long list of drugs that are associated with increasing the risk for Alzheimer's, including anticholinergics that are used for sleeping pills, and we've also got benzodiazepines and these other drugs for sedative hypnotic effects that increase the risk. I mentioned acetaminophen, another big risk factor, proton pump inhibitors. So lots of drugs are being linked to poor memory and cognition. I gave a lecture today on flavonoids and talked about how important they are in promoting brain health. Some of the best research that's been done on nutrition and brain health have shown overwhelming documentation that B vitamins are very effective, and omega-3 fatty acids are very effective in preventing cognition loss and memory loss as we age. But what they found was that when you combine them, you got even greater effects. And this research was done at Oxford, so it means it's almost irrefutable from that high standard of an educational institution. As far as supplements go, there's a lot of things that can offer some protection. There was a recent study at UCLA with an active form of curcumin, which is a yellow pigment of turmeric. This was a study that showed that it not only improved cognition, it basically reversed some of the early damage associated with Alzheimer's disease. So very much cutting edge research done at UCLA with this form of curcumin. It's called theracurmin. Very good research with that. But there's a lot of things. Some of the medicinal mushrooms are showing great benefit. There's simple things like cacao, cocoa, blueberries, all very powerful in protecting against neurodegeneration and loss of cognition and memory as we age.
Yeah, and I would probably add. I agree with everything. I would probably add, as far as on the herbal level, definitely ginkgo. Ginkgo has been studied for a long, long time. I love things like, you mentioned medicinal mushrooms. Lion's mane has really started gathering some huge eyes on it over the last few years. And then things like Schisandra berry has been used in Asia and the cultures in Asia, and they attribute a lot of their longevity and their brain function as they get older to the daily consumption of Schisandra. So I do think that there are some lifestyle things, the diet things, they all have to coalesce and come together. So definitely.
Okay. And what are your do you have any recommendations for someone that's having blood sugar, type 2 diabetes issues, and their blood sugar is high? Are there any herbs? We've discussed diet a lot for the 17 days of the conference. Are there any supplements or herbs that are a significant help with blood sugar for people with high blood sugar?
Well, I mentioned berberine earlier. Berberine has been compared to metformin and offers some significant advantages over metformin. But berberine has very good documentation. 500 milligrams 2 or 3 times a day before meals has been shown to significantly improve blood sugar control, on par with metformin and other oral hypoglycemic agents. I also like a dietary fiber matrix that I helped develop when I was at Natural Factors. It's called PGX. PGX is the most viscous dietary fiber out there. 5 grams of PGX would be equal to about 100 grams of psyllium. You wouldn't be able to eat 100 grams of psyllium, but in terms of its impact on appetite control, promoting weight loss, and improving blood sugar control, it's the best of the fibers out there. I developed a program, a diabetes reversal program for patients with type 2 diabetes. I utilized this program successfully in over 1,000 patients, and PGX was the primary tool that I would use to help people control their appetite, lower their glycemic volatility, and help improve blood sugar control, and in many cases get off of their prescription medications. Type 2 diabetes, we often think of as being a progression related to a diet high in sugar, but I will say this, when they looked at, we've done these very large studies in the US, these Haynes studies, and what these studies have shown when it comes to diabetes, they looked at the levels of various pesticides in the blood. And when they looked at just one pesticide, it wasn't a big deal. But when they started looking at 5 or more, what they found is that we often think that diabetes is associated with obesity, and that's kind of going away. In this particular study, and this was done in 2000, first analysis was done, I think, in 2006. They showed that in the people that were slim, they had low body mass index. If they had a high level, if they were in the highest quintile in pesticide content in their blood, they had a greater risk for diabetes than people that were severely obese who had the lowest level of pesticide residues in their body, in their blood. So I think we're going to start seeing more and more data. We're living in an ever increasingly polluted world, and these pollutants are wreaking havoc on our health. We talked a little bit about Alzheimer's disease earlier. I mentioned it's referred to as type 3 diabetes. We see the same sort of risk factors related to the Alzheimer's that we're seeing with these in type 2 diabetes. And we also see this near epidemic occurring in conditions like autism and attention deficit disorder. And I think that this ever increasingly high load of environmental pollutants is contributing to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I completely, I love that I can say I agree with you so much.
It's very rare coming from women for me.
Well, I have to say, Dr. Murray, I am agreeing with almost everything everything you've said so far. I mean, the only thing I would tuck in there as far as an herb is, one of my favorite to help with blood sugar is cinnamon. The curcumin is awesome. And, that's something I actually take every day. But I also take a form of cinnamon every day too, because it's very well known for what it does for blood sugar. So, yeah.
Great. Okay, I'm going to add, there's a lot of things I want to ask about, and unfortunately we won't have time to ask all. So what I'd like to do is just get, without the description, just get more or less, a 30-second impression. So this way I could ask you about 30 different things and just find out if you are for or against it. You won't have time to tell me all the reasons, but I'd like to just get your general quick answer, just so I have a chance to ask you all these different things, so I take advantage of this opportunity. Okay, so the first question would be for people that want to, let's call it people over 50 or 60. It could be for anyone, but that want to increase their sex drive. Is there anything herbal or supplements that would be appropriate?
Well, I love yohimbe. Is probably my favorite, but I think you have to be careful because yohimbe can raise your blood pressure a little. So you just have to use your common sense. And the thing is all the lifestyle things, exercise, lose weight, stay in shape. And then my favorite herb for sex drive is yohimbe.
Great.
Yeah, I like maca. I like maca for both men and women. It's a good health tonic, I think, and has a lot of other benefits as well. But that would be my recommendation.
Any risks with maca? Any downside to it?
No, I don't think so. It's a member of the cruciferous family, so we have some of the same sort of compounds that we have with kale and broccoli and also maybe in massive quantities it may not to be good for your thyroid, but I think the levels that we're talking about taking, it's not a problem.
Okay. How about getting radiation from flying in a plane or from medical imaging, as well as pesticides out of our body? We've been advised to take far red infrared saunas. Are there supplements or herbs or something else that would help us get pesticides, insecticides, fungicides, radiation, toxins, heavy metals out of our body?
My favorite, besides I do love infrared, but as far as detoxing, broken cell wall chlorella and cilantro are at the top of my list. And sometimes a good activated charcoal can help remove some toxins, especially like alcohol or food poisoning. For me, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of flavonoids. That was my talk. I think a high flavonoid intake would be very helpful. In my lecture, I talked about the importance of NRF2 activation. This is our body's endogenous antioxidant system. So flavonoids are great NRF2 activators. Spirulina is another consideration, or any sort of greens drink. Great detoxifier and great kind of anti-radiation and anti-pollutant factors with spirulina and other green foods.
Okay, great. What about iodine? Is this something that's particularly important, or is it just another mineral? Some people had emphasized that we need to make sure we're getting iodine. Is this any thought on that?
I'm not a big fan of high doses of iodine. It has negative effects on thyroid and other functions. So, I think it's important in like most nutrients and most things. We're trying to find the right level. We want to make sure we have sufficient, but we don't want to go into that toxic range. So I'm very conservative with iodine.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that something like maybe add a little bit of kelp to a smoothie. It will give you some natural iodine, but it's not going to make it toxic. And I don't know. I'm sure there's a test you can take to see what your iodine levels are.
Okay. We had a doctor the other day that said that a nebulizer with 3% hydrogen peroxide was a very powerful way to get things out of the body. Does that resonate with either of you as something that's a meaningful approach, or was that just his approach?
I think it's good. I'm a fan of a nebulizer and also food grade hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, I think it's a good approach.
Yeah, I'm neutral on it. I don't think there's any data with that. In a nebulizer, I would rather see something like N-acetylcysteine, something that has more clinical documentation and a broader range of action. With a nebulizer, I'm not sure that hydrogen peroxide would have that much benefit.
Okay. What about over the years, the term parasites has been used a lot. Is there a parasite cleanse or something that you recommend to get rid of parasites or anything like that?
Dr. Murray?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of choices in that regard. I'm going to stick with berberine. I've talked about it significantly in terms of its ability to lower cholesterol levels, blood pressure, blood sugar, blood cholesterol. But it also has some really interesting effects on our microbiome. It has been shown to be antimicrobial on every class of pathogen, every type of microorganism that is likely to cause infections, while also sparing the health promoting bacteria. Very interesting effects. And one of the key bacteria that berberine actually promotes the growth of is a bacteria called Akkermansia buccinophilia. And this is one of the key bacteria in our microbiome that works with our intestinal cells to make sure that we have a good mucin barrier. So there's a lot of benefits to the GI tract with berberine. Has been shown to be effective in many diarrheal conditions, including parasitic diarrheas. It's also been shown to be helpful in irritable bowel syndrome. It's a very good kind of GI tonic with some anti-parasitic activity.
We're told a lot that our gut health is important. Is there any herbs, probiotics, or supplements that you recommend that we use to help have a healthy gut microbiome?
So my favorite something for the gut is cat's claw. Besides its anti-inflammatory properties, I like that it balances intestinal flora. In fact, it was dubbed opener of the way because of what it does for the intestinal tract and the intestinal flora. There's other things too. I think fermented foods are going to be one of your best options for, propagating and getting your gut flora in a good place.
Yeah, for GI health, I think enzymes are underutilized. If we look at a lot of the times people are looking for benefits that they've been told or provided by probiotics, and they'd be better served by taking enzyme supplements. Low enzyme activity is a big factor for many people with chronic digestive issues. So I would look into enzyme therapy.
What do you tell people that come to you and say they have acid reflux? Is there supplements or herbs that are helpful with this?
I would refer them to my website. I have if they go to my free resources, I have a little booklet because I'm on a campaign to get people off of proton pump inhibitors, Nexium and Prilosec. These drugs are bad drugs. They cause so many side effects. There are safer and more effective ways to deal with gastroesophageal reflux disease or disorder. There's so many choices there. I like alginate raft therapy. Basically, alginate is a type of fiber from a seaweed. And when you ingest it after a meal, it sits on top of the food and it prevents the reflux. That's why they call it a raft therapy. You also have things like deglycyrrhizinated licorice that can be quite helpful against symptoms of reflux. And there's all sorts of natural anti-H. pylori agents that can help fight some of the GI irritation that a lot of people have and get them off of the PPIs.
Yeah, I agree. That's spot on.
A lot of women are told as they get older to go on hormone replacement therapy or bioidentical hormone therapy. Are there herbs or supplements or something that you would recommend for them?
What I've personally used, I'm glad that Dr. Murray brought up maca root. That's something that actually got me through some pretty rough years very well. And it's a very well-known adaptogen. So besides what it does for the sex drive, but what I've personally used besides maca is things like suma root, ashwagandha, rhodiola. Some of these adaptogens really help to balance body chemistry and, Suma root was pretty pivotal, just like the maca was for me. So it's Suma, Suma, and it grows in Brazil and made a huge difference as I went through menopause and beyond. Here I am.
So
magnesium can be very helpful.
Mm.
Magnesium deficiency is very common. The average daily intake for Americans of magnesium is less than 50% of their actual need. So we see a lot of people respond very well to magnesium. Magnesium's been shown to help with menopausal hot flashes, migraine headaches, poor sleep quality. So it has a lot of benefits. As far as herbs go, black cohosh, particularly a brand called Remifemin, very well recognized. I like, there's a Korean mix of herbs. It's called Estro G. It's probably the top herbal recommendation based upon the scientific literature, great science behind it in helping improve that transition. Estro G is the name.
So if a woman is going through menopause and she takes magnesium, Suma, maca rhodiola, black cohosh, Estra G, I said maca, Suma root, I said that, and rhodiola. Okay, I said it all. Is this like nice and, this might help a little, or is this like a full solution that gets them through this much more comfortably without having to take hormone therapy? I mean, how effective is this? I know
that's a lot. You're throwing a lot at them. I think there's a lot more that we can do with diet. And it's sometimes taking a lot of different things isn't as good as taking a few things at the right dosage. Because a lot of times when people start taking a lot of things, they're not getting an effective dose of any of them. So it's not necessarily going to provide massive benefit. So, but to answer your question, can menopause symptoms be dealt with effectively with natural measures? Absolutely. This has been shown with any of these individually. Combining them, yes, you should have really good resolution of those symptoms.
Yeah, okay. I completely agree.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add to that, Jane?
I think what I noticed for myself is I didn't take all of those at once. I did rotate in and out of different things. Sometimes I was taking a couple, and just as the years kind of went on and things would change, I would discover something new and I would keep something in. And so I've used all of those and I still continue to use them now. But what I really noticed is that if I maybe drank too much alcohol or my diet went off a little bit, then some of these symptoms would come just flowing back. And the whole, exercise, all the lifestyle things, the stress management, those layers can't be missed. You can throw a whole bunch of herbs and supplements at it, but once you get the lifestyle things clicked in, actually it's a really good motivation to click those lifestyle things in. At least it was for me.
Okay. If someone came to you tomorrow and they said, I've been overweight for my whole life and I've had enough. There's this new diabetic drug. It's called Ozempic. I'm going to go on it tomorrow. Do you have any advice for them? Is there an herbal or supplement approach? If they said, I am hell-bent on doing something, I do not just want to do diet and lifestyle, it hasn't worked for me, I'm not willing to make the dietary and lifestyle changes I need to, this is an easier way, this Ozempic. Do you have an herbal or nutritional supplement or something that's equivalent that they could use to achieve weight loss?
Well, first of all, I would caution them against this approach. This approach is I think it's going. We've had major issues with FDA approved weight loss drugs, and we are going to. This one could be the worst of the bunch. And that's just saying a lot. So I wrote a recent article, looking at these these GLP-1 drugs, agonists. I explain how these drugs work and why it's ridiculous to be thinking this is a good thing. GLP-1 is something our body makes. It enhances the action of insulin. It promotes weight loss, but it's broken down almost as soon as it's made. These drugs, they basically potentiate GLP-1 for a week at a time, a single injection, a week at a time. And it's not going to be shown to be beneficial, in my opinion. It's because it's so contrary to the wisdom of the body. The body has a reason why this compound is broken down almost as soon as it's made. There are natural ways to increase GLP-1. I explain these in my article. I mentioned PGX earlier. I think this is really the best natural approach for weight loss, for blood sugar control, and it's very, very safe. What it does is, as it relates to GLP-1, this hormone-like compound that these drugs are agonists for, this is a compound that's made in our body by cells that line our gut called L cells. And PGX increases the number of L cells and the amount of GLP-1 that they release. But this is done in a natural, from a natural standpoint, and you're not having permanently raised elevations of GLP-1. There's also the cost involved, the fact that we don't have long-term studies, and the fact that we know that as soon as someone stops taking these drugs, they get rebound weight gain. So these drugs are associated with significant risk, and they are not a long-term solution.
Yeah, I wouldn't just throw herbs at somebody. There's deeper things happening. There's emotional trauma. There's emotional. If someone comes to me and they're that desperate, they say, either give me something or I'm going to take this drug. That's not the kind of person that I'm able to help, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Again, these synthetic forms of GLP-1, they are active for a week at a time. And the natural GLP-1 that our body makes is active for less than 30 seconds. So I just can't see this ending well. I think that we're going to see once a large number of people are on these drugs for a long period of time, we're going to get a real answer in terms of how safe they are. But again, the FDA has had a terrible record when it comes to drugs for weight loss. Fen comes to mind. It was a disaster. I think this is going to be a bigger disaster.
Okay, can you tell me what is your exact list of supplements or herbs that everyone should take? I know everyone's individual, so what are the basics that you want to make sure that everyone, supplements or herbally, is taking on a daily basis?
Personally, I take cayenne pepper every day. I think that's there's so many benefits to cayenne. It's a humble little herb. I also take a turmeric with a little bit of black pepper in it. I take a turmeric every day. And I also have been doing daily CBD. So those are my three. I have some other things I take. As far as zinc, vitamin D, depends on the time of year with the vitamin D if I'm able to get sun. I do a magnesium and a potassium. Those are probably the ones that I don't ever skip. I travel with all of those.
We all have biochemical individuality, but there are critical nutrients that are essential for our body to function optimally. So these essential nutrients include, vitamins and minerals and essential fatty acids. So everybody should be taking a high potency multiple vitamin and mineral formula. This serves as an insurance policy that you're giving your body all of the building blocks for health that you need from a micronutrient standpoint. So high potency multiple vitamin and mineral formula. So much data on vitamin D right now. Get your vitamin D levels checked. If you can't do that, take somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3 per day. Very important. I think everybody should be on some sort of high quality long chain omega-3 fatty acid. It can be an algae source or a fish oil, but get 1,000 milligrams each day of EPA plus DHA. So it's combined. 1,000 milligrams per day will give you the protection that you need, that will show benefit in reducing your risk for having a heart attack or stroke, as well as reduce the risk for developing one of the major forms of cancer: skin, lung, colon, and breast and prostate. Fish oils have been shown to be helpful in those areas. And lastly, I believe in the power of these flavonoids. I talked about them for almost 2 hours today. But take a good flavonoid-rich extract. Grapeseed extract is probably the most cost-effective, where you get the biggest bang for the buck. But some sort of flavonoid-rich extract or polyphenol, such as curcumin, or you can do a super greens drink, or some sort of plant-based broad-spectrum antioxidant. It'd be very, very helpful. So those are my basics: high-potency multiple, extra vitamin D3, high-quality fish oil, and a good broad-spectrum plant-based antioxidant. As far as getting herbs, yes, my diet is full of herbs and spices, and they're great to use on a daily basis. And think of them as being concentrated vegetables and fruits. So you gain all the health benefits of the fruits and vegetables that you've heard about, maybe more efficiently by focusing on herbs and spices as well.
And
You must have
Anatina, would you like to ask a quick question, and where are you from?
Hi, I'm Anatina. I'm from New York, and my question regards vitamin D. Does the long-term taking exogenous vitamin D reduce our own endogenous vitamin D? And what is the function of our precursor vitamin D?
Okay, so vitamin D3. Vitamin D in general is kind of a misnomer. It's more of a hormone in some regards. We make vitamin D in our skin, and when the skin reacts with sunlight, we transform the precursor into vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 is not active. It gets to the liver, and then it's converted to 25 hydroxy vitamin D3, and then to the kidney, where it becomes even more active, 125 hydroxy D3, dihydroxy D3. So in terms of taking vitamin D3 supplementally, it does not have any impact on your skin's ability to convert the precursor in the skin to vitamin D3 when it reacts to sunlight. The biggest determinant of that is the amount of melanin in your skin. The more melanin that you have in your skin, the less vitamin D3 that your skin will make. But in terms of, does there a negative impact by taking D3 supplements on your body's ability to convert sunlight into D3? No, there's no impact at all.
Becca, would you like to ask a quick question, and where are you from?
Yes, I would. Thank you so much. This has been so very helpful. And I'm from Los Angeles, California. And doctor had mentioned magnesium for menopause, and that seems to be very helpful. So thank you. And so my question is, what can one take for jet lag, severe jet lag.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
severe jet lag. I mean, the easiest thing would be to quit flying, but I'm gonna, that. But to recover from jet lag or to improve sleep cycle function, I would recommend 3 milligrams of a special form of vitamin B12 in the morning. It's called methylcobalamin. This will shut down your melatonin secretion during the day. And then at nighttime, take 3 milligrams of melatonin. This is really I found a great way to help reset our circadian rhythm. And what happens in jet lag is our rhythm gets disturbed, and we have altered melatonin secretion, and we don't really respond all that well to supplemental melatonin. But I would recommend 3 milligrams of methylcobalamin in the morning and 3 milligrams of melatonin at night. And I've had phenomenal results with this. Studies with methylcobalamin in people with sleep-wake cycle disorder has shown extremely positive results in some people. And this will be noted by fewer needs of going to sleep during the day, so less napping, and they're more awake, they're more alert, and they have better brain function, better cognition as well. So give that a try, and I think you'll find that you'll be as long as you stay in one spot for a significant amount of time, your severe jet lag would go away.
Dr. Murray, how can we stay in touch with you and follow up with you after this call tonight? Is there books, website? What's the best way to be in touch with you and your work?
Yeah, the best way is to go to my website, drmurray.com, and either Dr. Murray or doctor spelled out Murray, drmurray.com. And when they go to my website, they'll be prompted to sign up for my email. And it's a great way to stay in touch with me. I put out newsletters that reflect what I'm interested in, and like one of the most recent ones is about these drugs for immediate weight loss, and I just think that I'm not a big fan. So I think there's better ways to go. My website has a lot of free resources, but you'll see this sign up or this tab up here where it says free resources. I've got 5 little booklets that I have available for free. Stress, anxiety, insomnia, cholesterol and heart health, Alzheimer's disease, 7 natural keys to wellness, and as I mentioned, this little booklet on gastroesophageal reflux disease. I want people to get off of those PPIs.
Fantastic, thank you. And Jane, what's the best way to follow up with you? I know you have a new book coming out and you have a website. So what's the best way to be in touch with you and your products and your work?
Yeah, so my book has been out for 6 weeks now, so that's exciting. It's called Be Your Own Shaman. And then my website is barlow-herbal.com. And I also have a YouTube channel, Barlow-Herbal, where, I do a little bit of what I can put out there. But I also have an online herbal course called Be Your Own Medicine Man or Woman. And people can find me very easily just by going to Barlow-Herbal and searching pretty much anywhere. But yeah, I have a lot of fun with what I do.
And if someone has an herbal question, how do they get it answered?
If they just go to customer service at barlow-herbal.com, if you go to the contact us, you can very easily, right there, just you can give us a call. You'll get a live person Monday through Friday. And we're, a small team, but we have a lot of really knowledgeable people. Well, everybody's knowledgeable. So yeah, just zip us an email, or you can even give us a phone call.
And Dr. Murray, do you do phone consultations?
No, I don't do phone consultations. I try to answer all my questions that the questions that people have about health in the various books that I've written. I also have Instagram and Facebook, and I do address if we get a lot of questions on a particular area, I will address it in an email. I also periodically will conduct free webinars that will give people an opportunity to ask questions of me on the subject that I choose to give a lecture on. I've done lectures on, well, during COVID I gave a lot of lectures, but I also did lectures on brain health. I've given lectures on diet and weight loss and diabetes, lots of different types of topics, and I'm going to get back into doing that shortly.
Okay. Well, we really appreciate you sharing your life's work with us. And it's tough to get this information, and it gives us a lot more confidence to do these things when an expert like yourselves who spent their lives studying it gives us more information about it. So I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. And I'd like to unmute everyone, so anyone else who wants to thank you for sharing all this great information can also take the opportunity to thank you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great info.